Well, I got started really when I was given a guitar at the age of 12 by my late mum, and dabbled with that for a few years, and then sort of started to take myself seriously. I think that's a turning point for any musician. Once they start to take themselves seriously, then things start to happen, and that was around about when I was 17. I got a recording contract when I was 18, way back in 1968, and that's where it started, really. What changed a lot for me was when Heartsong, the one you obviously just played, was a hit in the late 70s, and that opened a lot of doors for me.
And self-taught then, or?
Absolutely, completely self-taught, yeah.
Influenced by anybody in particular?
Hank Marvin was the first one, which is the irony of working with Cliff, because Cliff and the Shads were the big major influence in the early days. Cliff for the vocals, obviously, and Hank for the guitar playing, so it was a complete package. And then obviously everybody was influenced by the Beatles, so then I got into what I describe as acoustic music, not necessarily folk music, but acoustic music in the mid to late 60s. The sound of the acoustic guitar, which I adored then and still love, has remained with me.
Now, there's some favourites of mine. I've got some of your albums at home. I remember buying Fear of the Dark. I won't say how many years ago it was now. I don't want to give your age away, or mine come to that. But I bought that. But I'm a big fan of artists like Earl Klug. I don't know if you know
I do
him.
know Earl Klug, yeah.
Chet Atkins.
Absolutely.
Are these people that you sort of think of as being great guitarists?
Absolutely, yeah. Chet Atkins, genius. I wished in some ways that I'd been exposed to Chet Atkins in the early days, because that was a little bit more demanding and it was a bit more complete, and really was the direction I was heading towards unknowingly as a kid. Really was the solo guitar thing, and Chet, of course, was the governor, still plays great.
But you've got a style of your own, it's fair to say, isn't it? And it encompasses, some of the sort of rock guitar styles that we've mentioned. It encompasses classical, almost flamenco at times. It's a sort of combination of all of those, isn't it?
It is really. It's all those influences, all the things I love, and combined with a completely hybrid technique of playing, which is completely wrong. And I won't bore the listeners with guitar technique this afternoon, but needless to say, because I was self-taught, I play incorrectly. But it's given me a sound, and it wasn't something I consciously started out doing, but by default, really, I've created this sound, which is very much Gordon Giltrap, I suppose, and easily identified.
How did you get into writing television music?
Through Heartsong, really. It was picked up by everybody, wasn't it, if you remember right? I'm sure you played it a few times. There's instrumental fillers up to the news. Yep. And then I started to get into library music, which is music specifically written as theme music, not commercially available. And then I got one or two commissions. The general impression that people have of me is that I've written loads and loads of things. I haven't really. I'd love to have done. Just that the ones I've written have been fairly prominent, i.e. both holiday programmes and World Bowls and things like that.
I mean, Heartsong came first, didn't it? And then Wish You Were Here. And various pieces for television came from that. And perhaps, in many ways, that pigeonholed you a bit, didn't it? And was that a bad thing or not?
No, not really. One's grateful for anything, really, quite honestly. People assume I've only had the one hit with Heartsong. I've had two hits. Fear of the Dark, as you probably know, was a hit as well. I'd hate to be lumbered with the term one-hit wonder, but really Heartsong was the one that did it, and I'm very grateful for that.
Now, Heathcliff, something completely different for you, wasn't it? To be involved, and probably an ambition in a way to work with Sir Cliff, but also to be in a sort of musical theatre setting was something you'd never done before, was it?
Never have. No, I've never been part of a theatrical production or part of a team like that. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a great time. People say, "Oh, was it tiring?" or doing the same thing every night. But the thing is, when you step out on stage solo, which is what I was doing at the beginning of each show, playing the overture from Heathcliff, it's nerve-wracking. You're stepping out in front of between 2,500 and 4,000 people a night, and you're very exposed. It's quite naked, really. Yeah. And that I found challenging. I played the part of a troubadour. It was a non-speaking part, but really I was there to set the scene, because I've known Cliff for many years socially anyway, but I think it made a lot of sense when he asked me to do it, because he wanted that English element. He wanted that troubadour element, which is what I'm all about. So the piece really was created for me. The part was created for me.
And it was Cliff's idea, was it?
It was Cliff's idea, yeah. He said one of his best ideas, he said.
Hey, thanks again for listening to this interview. If you enjoyed it, please click on the like button. Make sure you ring that notification bell. Check out all of the other interviews here. And if you can, please help the channel by subscribing. Thank you.